Hi Libra, and welcome back for your mid-month reading. Those of you who are twin flames, this is the video for you. Now, if you are wanting to have a look at the other channel I host, it's under YILDIZ readings. I'll put a link directly below or inside the video. And on the channel, I do live sessions connected to astrology, but obviously I'll be connecting it in with the twin flame path when I do the live feed updates. On both channels, I do give away a 1 hour free Skype reading, as well as if you are joining the sessions, I try and give you tools to actually help with your own life, be it at a career factor, what's happening with the planets, why you're being impacted, how to manifest, as well as ways you can actually look at your twin flame path. I will be adding toolkits to the new channel here so that you can actually do some work on yourself and you can actually get to union. Now, these videos are more for those of you with no communication, although I will be doing separate live feeds or a separate video for those of you who are in communication. January is a very interesting month because we do have a total lunar eclipse in the second half. So we went through on the 6th we had a partial eclipse, moving to the 20th we have a total lunar eclipse. Again, it will depend on where you are in the world and how it's going to impact you, but it's in blood moon energy. Most of us really wanting to push forward, and I kept seeing for a lot of us collectively, each year you move in, January tends to be, you're trying to tie up your loose ends, you're trying to get grounded and go, okay, where to from here? That's quite a normal frequency to be moving into, but for some reason I was feeling a lot of that frequency coming through from March. Whereas even within the Chinese New Year, I do believe it's February 5th this year, and it's the year of the pig. Again, I will go into that within the videos and how that's going to impact us and, what we can expect in the year. But a lot of the transformations have been moving through from 2016 all the way through, and it has been really a lot of soul growth, soul path, where we're trying to come to a very whole place within ourselves. So in 2018, it would have been very hard to keep the twin flame boat afloat, so to speak, because we were really doing some internal work. Those of us who were in pain body experience may have gone towards soulmate energies, and it's not to say that because you choose the soulmate path that you're in pain body experience. If you are healed completely to a point where you're self-aware, you're in your awareness, you know what the connection is, and you're not requiring that connection, then it's at a balanced state where you can actually go back into that situation, into a soulmate connection. As for those of you, if you are experiencing blocks and you're running from your own frequency, that does become problematic, because just because you met your twin doesn't mean to say that if you choose not to be with your twin that you're not a twin anymore. You're always a twin. So that spiritual growth is always going to be part of your destiny and part of what's going to happen within your path. So in coming out of reunion with your twin, what you need to be mindful of is that work is going to be an ongoing thing, be it you with a soulmate, a karmic, or your twin flame. So it's nothing you can immunize yourself against, and the quicker you understand that and actually do the work on yourself, the more stable your own personal life will be. And then it does come down to, as they say, freedom of choice to choose who you wish to be with, because you have come to that whole place. Again, the frequency with your twin is going to directly impact your health at times, because as you do telepathically connect in with them, it can interfere with your frequency. So using tools to actually help yourself get grounded through transformations, through what they're going through in a sense of a transition in their life, will always be directly felt by you once you reach a certain point. Now, come through to the live sessions, as I said, and we can connect in and discuss the aspects of it. I do try and come live regularly, as well as each month you will at least get a monthly video, but at the moment I'm doing monthly and mid-month. I may increase it or keep it to monthly, but again, we'll see how we go, because I've got two channels. Okay, so the first card you got coming through, it's interesting in the chakra cards sort of pulled for you, because on top of that, I have pulled a lesson that you'll learn each fortnight. Fortnight in Australia is every 2 weeks. Not the game. So the chakra card Libra has in the twin flame path is personal boundaries, but it's in reverse. Now, one could deem that as you might be questioning, oh my gosh, am I imbalanced here? Am I not practicing healthy boundaries. Now, you might be triggered because something in a transformative state is coming through for you. In a knowingness, it's interesting because on your twin side, they've got relationships in reverse. So something may be going on with your twin that is changing. You may directly be picking up on the frequency, or it might be that you know you have to let your guard down in order to allow the communication to happen. Now, some of you, I do feel you might have had communication. As I said, if I do have time, I'll do videos for those of you who have had communication, because your frequency within these readings will be totally different. Now, when it comes down to the boundaries, I'll get into the read and I'll show you what I mean by what's coming through. There is an offer coming through, okay? And I have pulled clarifiers on a few cards on your side, merely because I could see the story unfolding. But what I'm seeing with your twin is they're going through a lot of transformation. It may be at a frequency level you physically feel very ready and open for a connection, but then bang, you're kind of like, am I really ready? Now, that's very natural to happen in any journey, be it a soulmate coming towards you or a twin flame. It's very natural for you, after being hurt, purging, changing, evolving, have I got my shit together? Do you know what I mean? So having that feeling of, okay, we're going back over old ground. It's not, you can never really go back over old ground. It can feel like a spiritual test when you're having to really state your case. Again, I would highly suggest balancing your chakras, but practice patience, which is interesting because the lesson that you're having in the next 2 weeks is to trust yourself, okay? Personal boundaries, you only ever need to utilize them if people are pushing beyond them. If you do not trust yourself to have the personal boundaries, that's when the lack of trust inside oneself comes, because you're thinking, oh, but I'm feeling this is more a trigger point. I don't feel this is a direct situation, although I do feel some of you may be having an aspect of either communication, a trigger point, or, you know, acknowledgement of something changing within your twin flame path. So there is energy of either you physically being open to this, but perhaps they're not, okay? But I feel this is something going on with them very separate to you. I feel there may be a sense of communication, but a statement of, look, I've got crap going down in Donkey Town, but I'm trying to clean this up. I'm trying to get balance. It may have already happened in their own life. Now, karmics can be anything. It can be down to family. It can be down to mindset, a blockage when it comes to work and balance, finances. Whatever's going on their side might be due to an external factor that they're tidying up, or they have tidied up, but they're directly trying to get grounded in order to be open to relationships. But first, they must actually develop that relationship with themselves. And I feel that's what they're doing, but they're being very open about it. Now, if they're not directly communicating with you, you need to understand that this is what's going on. They're trying to reconnect in with their own relationship with themselves because they haven't given themselves that. Now, as for the position where you're ready, they may not be. It's interesting how the actual story unfolds because it does change. Something is coming in, right? There could be an offer coming in, but at the same time, they're so driven by their career or their finances, or a karmic energy is very heavily needing on them at a financial level. Now, this could merely be a blockage in an egoic state, although a lot of us have purged the aspect of the ego, so it's an awareness of such now, that this is what was blocking them. Perhaps the finance, perhaps employment. Again, really working hard on what they need to do, but you also in your own life seeing that some things are changing. Now, January is connected to births, deaths, debt, and intimacy. So a lot of turning points can come, and a lot of the planets will be shifting in a sense of wanting to pivot us forward. So it's going to be a judgment that you're going to make. And for me, the way I'm seeing it, if there's a judgment that's going to be cast, it's because there's an offer on the table. Now, whatever's happened on their side, it might be after a betrayal. That could be directly connected to you. Or, you know, a judgment in relation to what to do after something went down within your own connection. Or on either side of your own lives, you dealing with an aspect of conflict and trying to tie up loose ends to move yourself spiritually forward. You also have, you know, some sense of a crisis, something going on. Again, I'm feeling more meditation, and it's really interesting because a lot of what's coming up in the reads, to me, can present itself like it's looking like you're communicating, because it's a lot of old energy coming through in many of the reads. So what I'm meaning by that, when old frequencies come up, that can be directly in your mind or at the 3D where you're communicating with this physical person. So it is about them being a soldier, you know, masculine or feminine, being the king or the queen in their own energies, and, you know, acknowledging why these things happen. And that even needs to occur on your side, where when you're in the self-awareness, it doesn't no longer come down to, don't even know if that's a sentence, that you've actually been abandoned. It's when you're in your pain body, our ego can be triggered to believe that something was done at a lower frequency to us, but it was a projection of fear-based frequency from them. You just happened to experience it. Yes, it did happen to you, but when a person is faced with blocks internally, it is not an intentional thing that one does to harm another person. Of course, obviously, if it is, that's a very different frequency. But if it was due to blocks and belief systems, which is what the second wave is actually breaking down, it directly wasn't connected to you. So I feel some sense of a conversation is going on here, you know, in relation to betrayal, in relation to intuitively, you know, that they're seeing the situation now, and they kind of saw where it was going, but at the end of the day, it transpired. So they're seeing eye to eye with how you're seeing things, and it may be telepathic communication as well going on. It might be guidance of their higher self, especially from their crown chakra and the 5D. Downloads they're having to really balance themselves. Again, from a financial point of view, I'm feeling they're trying to do that. For you, there is a lot of movements forward, but this is really connected to your twin flame journey. So it can be that you, again, with the justice, you know, you wanting a just decision and you being in your own frequency and standing, you know, standing strong, you know, your choices, it might be a delay in choices at the moment due to an understanding that something needs to transpire. But there is movement forward, but the movement forward you're wishing for, and perhaps even visually seeing as an aspect of consistency. You're then faced with an aspect where you feel a little bit stuck, but the reason is because you know you need to wait for divine timing. But I feel it's so close. I feel it's almost like you're waiting for it, but not for a better word of you're holding it. It's more you're understanding something's going on and you're allowing that to transpire. So I feel it's a personal choice, but you're like, okay, do I trust myself here? Do I trust my higher self in the 5D? Still create the personal boundaries, perhaps let your guard down if need be, but don't overstep the mark. But I feel you're questioning yourself a lot, but I do feel you get more grounded as it moves. Again, the total lunar eclipse can cause trigger points, and this is why perhaps this is coming through. But definitely I do feel there is a potential, especially with the style of cards coming through, with the backstabbing, the adversity, you know, nobody really winning, but a time for balance. And I feel even with you waiting and they're trying to balance, it is an epiphany moment that whatever went down was necessary to bring you full circle to do this healing work and address people that are no longer in counterpart side that were gone, that need to be behind them and left behind. But they're in this energy of understanding now the connection to you, plus the connection to others and what's going on. Now, the lesson they're actually learning in the next 2 weeks is big visions. And this is how they physically do have the power within their throat chakra. They're in the hangman position, but there's a pause. So it's like, just because there's a pause in life doesn't mean to say it's abandoned, doesn't mean to say it's gone or that the connection is no longer there. So the understanding is you haven't even experienced the total paradigm of the beauty of how this can be. And really, this is what your twin is going to understand. But you Libran, I feel you need to trust yourself. But it's about getting grounded in order to actually have that. It can be very nervous energy, either excited or nervous, regardless, but there's an energy of that coming through. Now, both of you directly in your own personal lives, as well as connected to the twin flame path, you're balancing and you're doing a lot, okay? It can be that you're looking at the partnership and you're deciding how you can go about bringing this together for those of you who that's relevant. And again, I am feeling this is going to be meditation over the next 2 weeks in relation to that. Also, your employment, you're very focused on your employment, be it just at a manifestation level or a meditation level. It can also be your spiritual work that you're directly doing with the service card. You can also be assisting each other in some shape or form if you have direct contact. But you're feeling that you're thinking, gosh, how long can this go on for? So it's almost like you have a knowing of this past person that was toxic, either on your side, Libran, or your counterparts, that, and it can be on both sides, that you're releasing or had already released, but you're tying up those loose ends connected to it. Both of you are going to be very direct towards people. You may be dealing with yours very differently, but it's interesting because the personal boundaries for you, Libra, may be in relation to a past tense person. I'm not feeling this is directly connected to your twin, but the trigger point can come in connected to twin. So the personal boundaries, it may be that you have to be very direct on your side, but it can be towards your twin. Look, you know, very black and white. This is what I feel. This is how I'd like to proceed forward. But you need to speak it from your point of view, not I can't say an expectation, and I've spoken about this in previous videos. It's not that we shouldn't have needs. Needs are one thing, but if we can fill our own needs in particular ways, we should always do such. But if we have a belief system with personal boundaries and we're going against the grain of that, that can become problematic. As long as they're not because of blocks, you know, having personal needs is fine. But if it's due to blocks, it's expectation, and that's something you can work on. So try and do that work in that. Both of you are very worried because some things aren't tied up in a sense of loose ends. So you're not quite sure the time frame, you're not quite sure how this is going to turn out. This can be, again, old triggers coming up. But your hopes are going to return by the end of the 2 weeks. And it's interesting because even the work that you're both doing, it's a number 2 card in the service. So this can be spiritual service, assisting each other, especially as you're ascending, you know, and you're transforming. This can really be some transformative energies coming through. Now, I do feel for both of you, if you are tying up loose ends, even on the work front, on a karmic front, can be with family. Don't allow people to manipulate you. You're going to find that even just simply if you're not in communication, that's coming through, doing that work does help your twin actually balance that frequency in their own life. It is literally like an umbilical cord where we do actually, you'll end up mirroring each other the whole way through in some shape. So any blocks you have, they're showing you, especially when you're stating to the twin, this is the way I see things. It's actually something also going on within you. And again, go through to the mirror videos when I do have them uploaded, and you'll understand what I mean by that. Keep the energy light and playful. You know, and I feel that's really the key with you guys in the next 2 weeks. And I do feel with your twin, whoever is the masculine, if you can be playful, I do feel that's going to lighten the frequency. So whichever one is the masculine energy, as long as you are playful and understanding the need to have that energy, both in yourself and theirs, it's actually going to help balance it, because at the moment the lack of faith is due to the strict frequencies of where relationships have really impacted each of you. Okay? Any additional advice? You need to look at it from a fresh perspective. Don't be looking at the given situation as past tense frequency, because that's what's going to impact you at the moment. Okay? Look at it from a fresh perspective. This is going to assist with the healing and the transformation. You're not going to stay in that lower frequency. Things are shifting. Neither one of you, you know, the only way you can have the enemy with each other is if you're being such towards yourself. You know, if you allow them to come to you once they've done their work, which naturally, magnetically, you come back together, even at a friendship level first and then further, that's fine too. But try to hold the energy of, try and release anything that's really, you know, frustrating you. And don't get up in your head about it too much, because it does look as though it's flowing, and there is a potential that there is either contact or communication. Again, if I do have time, I will do the videos for each sign, you know, in relation to contact and how that's doing, but I'll see how I go for schedule, and I'll see you on the live sessions. And don't forget, I do give away free readings on both channels, so come and join us. Bye.